Ripe or rotten? That is the whole question, isn't it? You stand there in the store holding that melon in both hands and you have no idea. None. You could be holding a piece of candy, or you could be holding a 5-pound paperweight that tastes like a wet paper towel. And you won't know until you get it home, cut it open, and feel that little drop in your stomach. Again, I am going to fix that for you today for good. By the time we are done, you will pick a sweet cantaloupe every single time. Not most of the time, every time. And you will do it in about 8 seconds, standing right there in the produce aisle without squeezing a single one until your thumb leaves a bruise. This is not a guess. This is not a trick I read somewhere. This is how my people have done it for generations, on the same ground, with the same hands, long before there was a sticker on the fruit telling you it was sweet. I was raised plain in Holmes County, Ohio. We grew muskmelon in the backfield, past the corn, where the soil ran a little sandy. And my grandfather could walk that patch at dawn and tell you, without bending down, which melons would be honey by Sunday and which ones needed 3 more days on the vine. He never owned a tool to test it. He never needed one. The folks who sell you produce, they have no reason to teach you what we know. None at all. A melon that fools you is a melon you buy twice. They are not in the business of you getting it right the first time. So stay with me. Right around the middle of this, I am going to show you the one thing my grandfather checked before anything else. The thing nearly everybody gets backward. It costs you nothing. It takes 1 second, and once you see it, you will never again stand in that aisle feeling foolish. Before we go on, do me a small favor. Tell me down in the comments where you are picking your melons this summer. Just your state or your part of the country. Georgia, Ohio, California, wherever you are. I am curious which of you are dealing with the long-haul grocery melons and which of you have a roadside stand nearby. It changes things, and I will explain why. Now, let me tell you what is really going on with that melon in your hands. Here is the part that nobody tells you, and it is the most important thing I will say all day. A cantaloupe does not get sweeter after you pick it. It does not. I want you to really hear that. Once that melon leaves the vine, the sugar is locked in. Whatever sweetness is in there, that is all the sweetness there will ever be. Now, it will get softer on your counter. It will smell stronger. The flesh will go a little juicier. And that fools people into thinking it ripened. But the sugar, the actual sweet, that number was set the moment it came off the plant. A bland melon will be bland forever. You cannot fix it on the windowsill. You cannot fix it in a paper bag. It is done. This is different from a banana. A banana keeps converting its starch to sugar after you pick it, so a green one really does sweeten up on the counter. A peach keeps softening and building flavor, but a cantaloupe is in a different family. The sweetness comes from the leaf, through the vine, into the fruit, while it is still attached and growing. Cut that cord too early, and you have capped the sugar forever. The people who study this put a number on it. They measure sweetness in something called Brix, which is just a fancy word for the percentage of sugar in the juice. Researchers at the University of California looked at this closely, and the standard they landed on is that a cantaloupe should hit at least 9% sugar to taste good to most folks, and the really fine ones run 11, 12%. A melon picked too soon might come in at 6 or 7, and there is no road back from 6. None. So think about what that means for you. Standing in the store, half of those melons in the bin were picked early. They had to be. They were grown 1,000 miles away in a hot valley out west, then loaded on a truck and driven for days. The grower cannot send you a soft, perfectly ripe melon. It would turn to mush before it ever reached the shelf. So they pull it green. They pull it before the sugar is in. And that is the heartbreak, isn't it? You did everything right. You picked the prettiest one. You thumped it like your mother taught you. You brought it home, you let it sit, and it still tasted like nothing. It was not your fault. That melon was doomed before you ever touched it. It was picked dead. We never had that problem on the farm because we picked at the exact right hour. But you are not standing in my field. You are standing in a fluorescent aisle with 40 melons in a cardboard bin, and you need to know which ones were given enough time. So let me teach you to read them the way I was taught to read them. The first thing my grandfather ever showed me was the stem end, not the whole melon, the stem end, that little spot on top where the melon was once joined to the vine. Turn the cantaloupe over in your hands and find it. You are looking for where it connected to the plant. Now here is the whole secret in one sentence. A ripe cantaloupe lets go of the vine by itself. When that melon is truly ready, when the sugar is fully in and the fruit is finished, it releases. The vine forms a little crack all the way around the stem, and the melon simply drops off into your hand with the gentlest touch. We called that a full slip. Full slip. It means the plant decided the fruit was done, not the farmer, not the truck schedule, not the man with the harvest quota. The plant itself let go. So when you flip that melon over and look at the stem end, you want to see a smooth, slightly sunken, round scar. Clean. Like a little dimple, maybe a touch of tan or cream color in the center. That tells you the melon came off naturally. It was ready. It slipped, but if you flip it over and you see a piece of stem still stuck on there, a little green stub, a torn, ragged spot where it was cut or yanked off the vine, put it down, walk away. That melon was taken before it was willing to leave. It was picked early, and the sugar never finished coming in. No amount of sitting on your counter will save it. My father had a saying for this. He said, a good melon comes to your hand like a child reaching up. A bad one has to be pulled away crying. I never forgot that. And to this day, the first thing I do with any melon, before I smell it, before I press it, is flip it over and look at that scar. Now, the grocery stores know about full slip. Of course they do. They just cannot afford to honor it. A full slip melon is so ripe it will not survive a long truck ride. So the commercial growers pick at what they call half slip or even earlier, where the melon still has to be tugged free, it travels better, it bruises less, it looks fine in the bin for a week, it just does not taste like much. The whole system is built around shipping, not flavor. They are selling you the appearance of a melon and keeping the sweetness for nobody. So this one little scar already puts you ahead of nearly everyone in that store. But the stem end is only the beginning. Stay with me, because the next thing I am going to show you is what the skin itself is trying to tell you, and almost everybody reads it wrong. Look at the netting. That rough, raised, tan webbing all over the outside of a cantaloupe, most people think it is just texture, just the way the skin looks. It is not. That netting is a record. It is telling you the story of how that melon grew. Here is what is happening underneath. As a cantaloupe swells and ripens, the inside grows faster than the skin can keep up. So the skin cracks just slightly in a fine web all over the surface. And the plant heals those tiny cracks with a corky, raised scar tissue. That is the netting. The more time a melon spends ripening on the vine, the more developed and raised and coarse that netting becomes. So you want netting that stands up. You want it thick, raised, rough, like a road map you can feel with your eyes closed. Run your fingertips over it. A good ripe melon has webbing you could almost catch a fingernail on. That coarse, corky net is the sign of a long, slow, full ripening. Now flip that around. If the netting is faint, flat, smooth, barely there, washed out and shallow, that melon did not get its time. It was rushed. The skin never had the chance to crack and heal and crack again. Thin netting means a thin season on the vine. And a thin season means thin sugar. There was a study out of a land grant extension service looking at melon quality markers, and they confirmed exactly this. The coarseness and the raised height of the netting line up with ripeness and with sugar content. The science finally caught up and measured what my grandfather knew by running his thumb across the rind. He could not have told you the word bricks to save his life, but he could feel 11% sugar through the netting alone. Now look at the color underneath the net. Between the webbing, the background skin has a color, and this is one most folks never even think to check. On a melon that is not ready, that background is green, a hard grayish green. As the melon ripens, that green turns. It goes to a soft gold, a warm, creamy, yellowish tan, like the color of good butter or the color of straw in late summer. So part the netting with your eyes and look at the skin between. Green means wait. Green means it was picked too soon. But that golden, creamy, yellow tan color, that means the chlorophyll has faded out and the ripeness has come in. That is a melon that spent real days in the sun. I remember being a boy, maybe 9 years old, walking the melon patch with my grandfather in the early morning, the dew still heavy, and him not even touching them, just looking. He would point with his cane and say, that one Thursday, that one's already gone, that one needs the weekend. And he was reading exactly this. The color shift from green to gold, he had looked at so many thousands of melons that his eye did the math without him. You and I are not going to get there in one summer, but you do not need to. You just need to know what he was looking at. And now you do. So far we have the stem scar, the netting, and the background color. 3 reads, all done with your eyes before you have even lifted the thing to your nose. And that knowledge, the kind that lives in the hands and gets passed down without a manual, is exactly what I have tried to put somewhere you can keep it. I put together 2 field guides, the Garden Blueprint, which covers old-fashioned pest cures that cost pennies, and the Harvest Blueprint, which goes deep into Amish soil and storage secrets for bigger yields. Both are collected in the Complete Garden Field Edition, and you can find everything linked in the description below. It is the kind of plain, practical knowledge that does not go out of season. But back to what is happening inside that melon right now, because the nose is where it really gets good, and this is the part nearly everybody does wrong because they smell the wrong end. Most people, if they smell a melon at all, they smell the side, the belly. They pick it up and sniff the big round middle of it, and they get almost nothing, and they figure the smell test is useless. But you are not supposed to smell the side. You are supposed to smell the stem end. That little scar on top where it slipped from the vine, that stem scar is the doorway. It is the one spot on the whole melon where the skin is open enough to let the aroma out. Everywhere else, the rind is sealed up tight, holding the smell in. But right there at the stem, the perfume escapes. So bring that scar right up to your nose and breathe in. A ripe cantaloupe will hit you with it. Sweet, musky, floral, a little bit like honey, a little bit like flowers, that unmistakable melon smell that makes your mouth water before you have tasted a thing. If you smell that, buy it. That is sugar you are smelling. That is volatile sugar compounds coming off a fully ripe fruit, and they only show up when the melon is truly ready. But if you bring that stem scar to your nose and you smell nothing at all, just a faint green vegetable smell or no smell, whatever, then there is no sweetness in there to give off a scent. A melon with no aroma is a melon with no sugar. Put it back. Now, I have to give you one word of caution here, because there is such a thing as too far. If you smell that stem end and it hits you with something sour, something fermented, a smell with a sharp edge like alcohol or vinegar underneath the sweet, that melon has gone past ripe into rotten. That is the fermenting starting. The yeasts have taken over. So you want strong and sweet and floral, yes, but if it smells boozy or sour, that one's done. Set it down gently and find another. This is the whole ripe or rotten question. Right here at the stem end, in one breath. No smell, too early. Sweet and musky, just right. Sour and sharp, too late. One sniff tells you which of the 3 you are holding. I told you at the start I would show you the one thing my grandfather checked first, the thing most people get backward, and we have circled right up to it. Here it is. Most people, when they finally do pick up a melon to judge it, they go straight for the blossom end and they press it hard with their thumb. They mash it. They are looking for soft, and they bruise the fruit and they read it wrong. Here is the right way. The blossom end is the bottom, the end opposite the stem, where the flower once was. You will see a small round scar there too. You give that spot the gentlest press, not a jab, not a thumb dent. Just lay your thumb on it and press like you are checking if bread has finished proofing. A ripe melon gives just slightly, a little spring, a little yield, like the soft part of your palm below the thumb. If that blossom end is hard as a rock, dead solid, no give at all, the melon is not ready. If it caves in mushy and wet under the lightest touch, it is overripe, gone too far. But that gentle, springy give just a little. That is the sweet spot. That is a melon at its peak. And here is why so many people get it backward. They press too hard, they push past the true reading right into a bruise, and then every melon feels soft to them because they are the ones making it soft. Light hands, the lightest hands. My grandmother used to slap my wrist if she caught me bearing down on a melon. You are not testing if you can break it, she would say. You are asking it a question. Ask gentle. So now you have the whole reading. Flip it and check the stem scar for a clean slip. Feel the netting for coarse and raised. Look at the background color for gold instead of green. Smell the stem end for sweet and musky. And press the blossom end gentle for just a little give. 5 things, 8 seconds. And not one of them costs you a dime or needs a single tool. But maybe right now you are thinking, that is fine for a melon at the store, but what about the patch I have got growing in my own backyard right now? What about the vines I already planted this spring? Do I have to wait and guess and cut one open to find out? No, you do not. And this is where it gets even better, because in your own garden you have something the grocery shopper will never have. You have the vine itself still attached, telling you everything. If you grow your own melons or you buy from a roadside stand where they pick that morning, you get to use the real Amish method, the full one, the one we used in the backfield, and it is almost too simple. First, the full slip I told you about. In your own patch, you do not cut the melon off. You never cut a cantaloupe off the vine. You wait and you check it every morning and you give it the lightest sideways nudge with your thumb right where it meets the stem. When it is ready, truly ready, it will release with that little nudge. It will separate clean all the way around and roll into your hand. If you have to twist it, if you have to pull, if it fights you, it is not ready, leave it one more day. The melon will tell you the hour. You just have to listen with your hands. Second, watch the tendril. This is the one that hardly anybody outside the old farms knows. Right where the melon stem joins the main vine, there is a little curly tendril, a small green corkscrew of a thing growing out near the fruit. Watch that tendril. While the melon is still growing, that tendril is green and alive, but when the melon hits full ripeness, that nearest little tendril dries up and turns brown. It withers. The plant stops feeding and signals it is finished. So you can stand over your patch and read the tendrils like little brown flags. Brown curl by the stem, the melon below it is ready. Green curl, give it more time. My father taught me that before I could read words on a page. Look for the brown curl, he would say. The plant raises its own flag. Third, the belly. The ground spot. The side of the melon that has been resting on the soil. On a homegrown melon, you will see this clearly, a pale patch where it sat. That spot tells you ripeness too. When it is early, that ground spot is green or white. As the melon ripens, it turns a warm, creamy, golden yellow, the same gold we want in the background netting. So you flip your homegrown melon and look at its belly. Buttery gold means ready. Hard white or green means wait. Now, here is the part for those of you with an established garden who feel like you have heard all the planting advice 100 times. You do not need new seeds or new beds or any product to put this to work this very weekend. Walk out to whatever melon vines you have got right now, today, find the tendril nearest each fruit. Tie a little loop of plain string loose around the main vine right by the 3 or 4 melons that look closest. Then each morning, you only have to check those marked vines and their tendrils instead of hunting through the whole tangle. When the tendril by your string goes brown and the blossom end gives just a little, that melon is yours. It is the simplest tracking system in the world, and it costs you a length of string you already have in a drawer. My grandmother used strips torn from a worn-out apron. Same idea. Mark the ones that are close, then let the plant do the rest of the work. And if you do not have a garden at all, if you are buying every melon at the store, the roadside stand is still your friend. Those stands pick that morning local full slip because they do not have to ship 1,000 miles. That is why I asked you up top where you are buying. if there is a stand or a farmer's market within driving distance of you, that is where the truly sweet melons are, picked the way the good Lord intended, at the full slip, with the sugar all the way in. The grocery chain cannot give you that. It is not built to. But the fellow with the pickup truck and the hand-painted sign, he can. Now let me give you the finale. The one thing I have been holding back, because everything I have told you so far gets you a sweet melon. But this last piece gets you the sweetest melon in the entire bin, and it is the thing the outside world forgot and my people never stopped doing. Wait, you are going to pick up 2 melons of the very same size, and you are going to feel which one is heavier. I know how plain that sounds. But hear me out, because there is real science under it, and it is the science of sugar itself. A ripe cantaloupe is mostly water and dissolved sugar. And here is the thing. Sugar dissolved in water makes that water heavier, denser. A melon packed with sugar and juice weighs noticeably more than a melon of the exact same size that is watery and bland and underripe. The sweetness has actual weight to it. You can feel the sugar in your hands. So this is the final move. You take your best 2 or 3 melons, the ones that already passed the stem scar, the netting, the smell, the give, same size, roughly, and you heft them, one in each hand, like a scale. You will feel it. One of them sits heavier. That heavy one, for its size, that is the one with the most sugar packed inside. That is your melon, every time. The folks who measure these things have confirmed it. Density tracks with sugar content, with that Brix number I mentioned, the dissolved sugar literally adding mass to the fruit. Commercial packers actually use weight and density to grade melons in their big operations. They know. They have machines that do exactly what your 2 hands can do for free. They just never thought to tell you that you could do it yourself, standing right there for nothing, because there is no money in teaching you to need them less. And that is the whole thing, isn't it? That is the part that sits a little heavy with me. An entire industry grew up around shipping melons that taste like nothing and slapping a sweet little sticker on them and counting on you to keep coming back because you never learned to read the fruit yourself. They did not invent a better melon. They invented a worse one that travels well, and they sold you on it. My people just kept doing what we always did. Picking at full slip, reading the tendril, hefting for weight, smelling the stem end at dawn. The knowledge was never lost. It was just left behind on the quiet farms, while the rest of the world handed its judgment over to a barcode. So, let me put it all in your hands one more time, simple, so you have it for good. Flip the melon and look at the stem scar. You want a clean, smooth, sunken dimple, the sign of a full slip, not a torn stub where it was cut too soon. Feel the netting. You want it coarse, raised, rough under your fingers, never faint and smooth. Look at the background color between the webbing. You want warm golden tan, like butter, never hard gray-green. Bring the stem end to your nose and breathe in. You want sweet, musky, floral. No smell means no sugar. Sour or boozy means it has gone too far. Press the blossom end, gentle as testing bread. You want a little spring, a little give, never rock hard and never mushy. And then heft your finalists, same size, one in each hand, and take the heavy one. The heavy one is the sweet one. Do that, and you will never bring home a bland melon again. You will cut into it at your kitchen table, and the whole room will fill with that smell, and the juice will run down to your wrist, and it will be honey, the way it was always supposed to be, the way it was on the table when I was a boy, with the screen door open and the melon cold from the cellar. You just got something back, something that was quietly taken from you, one disappointing melon at a time, for years. You do not have to guess anymore. You do not have to hand your judgment to a sticker or a brand or a man who never tasted the fruit he shipped you. You can walk into any store or up to any stand and read that melon like a page in a book, the way plain folks have read it for 100 years and more. That is who you are now. Somebody who refuses to keep overpaying and keep getting fooled when nature already wrote the answer right there on the rind for anybody willing to learn the letters. So do this for me. Down in the comments, tell me where you are picking your melons this summer, your state, your region, whether you have got a garden of your own or a good roadside stand nearby or just the big grocery store. I read them and I want to know who is out there. And if just one melon in your life ever let you down, type the word honey in the comments so the next person scrolling by knows they are not the only one who got fooled and that there is a better way. Tell me. I want to hear it. And if you want more of the old knowledge, the plain ways the outside world set down and forgot, walk with us. This is not about following a channel. It is about a few of us getting back the practical, simple things our grandparents knew and never had to pay anybody for. Stick around, because the next thing I want to show you is how we kept those melons and our apples and our root vegetables sweet and crisp clear into the cold months with no electricity and no special box, using nothing but the ground itself and one thing every one of you already has in your yard. That one surprised even me when I was young. I will see you there. Before you go, let me leave you with one more thing, because I can hear the question already. Some of you are asking, what about the honeydew? What about the watermelon? Are these the same? They are not, and that matters. A honeydew does not slip from the vine the way a cantaloupe does, so the stem trick fails you there. With a honeydew, you go by the skin. It should feel waxy, almost a little tacky, not slick and shiny. Shiny means early. And the heft test still works on every melon there is, because sugar adds weight no matter the kind. So carry that one rule with you above all the others. When in doubt, weigh them in your hands. And one last memory, because it is the truest thing I know. My grandfather lived to be 91, and near the end his eyes were going, and he could not read the netting or the color anymore. But he could still pick a melon. He would just hold two of them, close his eyes, and feel for the heavy one. Every time he trusted his hands more than his eyes, because his hands had learned it over 70 summers, and the sugar never lied to them. Now you know what his hands knew. Go find yourself a sweet one, and do not let them fool you ever again. They never will again. I just showed you the overview, but my grandfather's full method goes deeper. Inside the Amish field circle, I pick up right where we stopped, walking you through his complete dawn walk melon selection. Ask me your own questions, and I answer you myself. No machine, just me. You'd belong among thousands of old ways growers like you. Just point your phone's camera at the code on your screen. Cancel any time with one click. If this helped you pick a sweeter melon, stay with me. I share these old Amish tricks often, so subscribe and look around. There's more right here to help you grow and choose better.